Note that instead of passing in the server function directly to the action prop, you can create a wrapper which allows you to provide better handling of the inputs and the outputs of the server function. We are going to create a new server function for this demonstration, which is going to return a well-structured response with the type field, which might be success or error, along with the message that we want to display to the user. The input of our server function is going to be well structured as well. It is simply going to be an object containing a username of type string, and then we will eventually return a promise to the login response. Within the body of this login function, we simply check if a username is not provided, and if that is the case, we return an object with type error along with a message to display to the user. Otherwise, we simply return an object with type success and a message that echoes back that username. To effectively demonstrate using this function from a client, we will create a new custom client page. We start by bringing in the login function along with the login response type. Within the page, we set up a state variable which will help us collect the name from the user. And as we've previously seen in our lesson dedicated to server functions, we will track when a server action is pending with useTransition. Finally, in order to display the result of our server action back to the user, we create another state variable typed as login response or null, which we initialize to null as we don't have a server response yet. We create a simple handler to handle the change on the input, which will modify the name state with the user provided value and clear any server state that we might have collected before. Then we have a second handler for the form submission. Instead of invoking login directly, we do that within the context of a start transition. We simply invoke it with the correct payload and then store the result in our server results state. For our user interface, we render out a simple form with the action wired to this handle submit function and input with the value and onChange wired to our state. Using the disabled prop, we will also disable this input if a server action is pending. Next to the input, we have a submit button that is also disabled on a pending server action. And finally, if we have a server result, we will display the message under the form. With this user interface created, let's demonstrate it within the browser. If you try to submit the form without a username, the server will return a type error along with the message, and we display that message to the user. If you modify that value, the server result is cleared, and when we submit it again, this time with a valid username, we get back a success message that echoes the username back to us. To recap, we are simply creating a wrapper around our server function using start transition, which is something that we have also done previously in our lesson on server functions, and then wiring this containing function to the form action.